Yo, I'm a nerdy guy. Boy, boy. Back at it again, Kenny, for real, reacting. The Warriors beat the Rockets in Game 7. I did watch the game, full disclaimer, but I don't know what Kenny about to say, you know? So we'll get to know a little bit more deeper analysis to really understand what happened in that game, because let's just watch.
We had a game 7 into game 1. The start to a series, the end to a series. We're going to talk about both. Starting off with the Golden State Warriors beating the Houston Rockets in 7. I know Rockets fans are pissed, not just because they lost the series. I mean, you were...
I would be too. Bro, the Rockets, bro, you know, first of all, let's start off good. The Rockets had a magical season. They were the number 2 seed throughout the regular season. So we can't say, it wasn't a good, year for them. They got bounced out sad, yes. But it was kind of expected. I'll be honest. No one really believed the Rockets would do anything. Are the Houston fans and family members of players and stuff like that are close to the city of Houston or something like that. So I get it, Rockets fans are pissed, but this was bound to happen. Like, Steph Curry owns your franchise, literally. Like, they talk about Burrowhead, they should start calling it, like, what's it called? The Curry Center. So just take off Toyota, put Curry face on it, the Curry Center, because, like, Curry owns y'all. I'm talking too much. Let me watch the reaction.
Underdog, even though you had the higher seed.
Yeah,
at one point you were
Rockets
down 3-1,
fans,
you forced
there's
to
a
game
few of
7.
them
A lot of people
today.
didn't look at you as a real contender to win the series at all. You're not mad about losing the series, I want to guess. I want to guess you're mad because you lost to Steph Curry again.
See? Yo, Kenny, no game. I literally just said the same thing. Change it to Curry Center. Bro, Curry give Curry give Houston fans nightmares. You know what? I think why James Harden played like that last night, and this might be a stretch, because remember, I'm not saying Harden was like Curry's, like experience of the player, but most of the times during the playoff series, Curry sent on Harden. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's like 2 or 3 times, and the Rockets never beat the Warriors in a playoff series. I'm wondering if those experiences like haunted James Harden to, like, every time he sees a game 7, game 6, stuff like that. You just don't know what to do anymore. And I get it. I'm not a basketball player and this and that, but like, yo. And I'm veering again.
But I'm not trying to rub it in. But for the gazillion time you've lost to that guy, and you know what? There was not really a moment in time where I thought the Rockets were going to win this one, because even when Steph Curry was struggling in the first half, I think he went into halftime like...
The Warriors were still up like 10.
They were still up by double digits. And shout out to Buddy Hield for that. But like, I was thinking to myself, there's no way Steph Curry's going to stay this quiet on the offensive side of the ball for an entire game. And eventually he started to turn it up, hit a couple big shots down the stretch. He had his own personal 8-0 run in the fourth quarter. And that was really it. There's a couple different things that surprised the hell out of me. I was surprised to see Jonathan Kuminga get some burn early on. I know it was talked about by Steve Kerr that he wouldn't count it out, but for him to get some early burn, and not only just early burn, he got burned alongside Draymond and Jimmy Butler. And that was something that Steve Kerr went on the radio about like 2 months ago, saying like, yeah, Kuminga can't play with those 2 dudes. So for it to be a go-home situation, he's like, you know what, maybe he can play with those dudes. The minutes were awful. There were a lot of Warriors fans in my mentions when Jonathan Kuminga throughout the last week of the season.
What's going on with Kuminga too?
And plus the end of
it's crazy. It's crazy how
Jonathan Kuminga getting minutes and Steve Kerr bugging.
Crazy.
The answer is probably not. And maybe
But
that's
it's
just because he
politics,
hasn't
man.
got a lot of burn, so he's lost his confidence, or he's lost a lot of his, or he's just really rusty. But in the minutes he has played in this series, not good at all. I don't expect him to play much in next series. Let's just say that. But yeah, this is a good team
True.
win for the Golden State Warriors. They had times in this game though where I absolutely hated the shot attempts they were getting. It was like Draymond Green pull-up jump shots and so on and so forth. But there are a few things that stood out in this game compared to some of the other ones.
But to be honest,
we did
Butler
get a
was
decent
giving
amount
most of
the double big
Draymond
lineup
Green
for the
those
Houston
shots.
Rockets.
Most
One
of
thing
them
that was
do.
different is they couldn't run a lot
Like
of
Butler, I
zone
saw at
with
one
this,
time at
double
the
big
end of
lineup
the shot
because
clock,
Buddy
Butler
Hield was
tried to
hitting
give
his
Jimmy
shots today,
Butler
because Pods hit an early
the
shot,
ball
which was really
to shoot
important
one of
to
those
kind
pull-up jumpers that he was
change
talking
the
about.
dynamic of the way they play defense. And when you run this double big
Crazy.
lineup, one of the luxuries you have is that you can't run that zone, right? And if the others are hitting
At the
shots,
end of
in
the
this
shot
game, they
clock,
shot
too.
42% from three. 42% from three. If the others are hitting shots, you can't really run that zone. And the Warriors did run their own zone. We're going to talk about that in a second. But with them not being able to run the zone, that means they had to go to man-to-man coverage. And we didn't get to see in the first 6 games of the series when we did have a double big lineup, a lot of minutes where one of the bigs, Shingun or Steven Adams, were guarding Draymond Green. It's just too dangerous. It's too dangerous because Draymond Green is an amazing short roller. He can finish at the rim. Of course, he can make that extra pass. And the few times they did end up playing that man-to-man coverage with the double big lineup, Draymond Green is picking it apart. One of the times he got to the basket, and I actually don't remember if he finished the layup. It's Draymond Green, so I'm assuming he did. But I know 2 of the times it ended up finding Buddy Hield on an open 3. It's like, oh yeah, we can't really do that too
And
much.
you dirty
So
for
now the
that.
one advantage that we had as a team, which is killing the offensive glass, running this double big lineup and mucking things up defensively, didn't really work out in this game, which is unfortunate for them that it happened in the game 7.
Kenny gotta pay his bills, man. Can I do?
Arcade. She was by the top
So do
artists
I.
and producers in the game. Who chops in?
So do you.
Right? They ended up really throwing them out of there, and you know, the Rockets' offense was really predicated on them being able to get those second chance opportunities. And unfortunately for the Rockets, we did get an amazing Fred VanVleet game who had kept them afloat throughout the last couple. Let's quickly talk about the Houston Rockets at whole, because I think one of the things that was very apparent throughout this entire series is how much they're in need of a go-to scorer down the stretch. You don't change anything about the season, right? This is one of those teams that you want to see of your young players. Who do you think can hold their own in the playoff series? And we got some ideas. This was not a good Alperen Sengun game, all things considered. His touch was really off. He had a lot of bunnies that just missed. You can credit that to Draymond, who's been holding him to like 36% from the field when he's been guarded by him. Or you can just credit it to him just losing his touch in his last game. But as a whole, you feel good about Alperen Sengun as a player for the next year's playoff run. You feel amazing about Amen Thompson, who was phenomenal in this game. He ended up pulling his hamstring or whatever, but he was amazing, especially in that first half. We talk about Steph Curry having 3 points on 1 of 6 and shooting from 3 in that first half. A lot of that is Amen Thompson playing some amazing defense. You feel good about some guys like Jabari Smith Jr., who didn't have a great game today, but he had a couple of great games throughout the series. And then you feel bad about others. You know what I'm talking about. And I just don't know what the remedy for that is.
Jalen Green. Jalen Green, buddy. Jalen Green. We all know. I don't know.
I don't know if that means that you're going to win. You're like, hey, man, who wants Jalen Green? We need a go-to scorer. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker. Who else is available? Kevin Durant, Devin Booker. Zion? No, I just don't know who's available. But, like, Jalen Green's stat lines were just pretty nasty. 7 points, 38 points. Whew, looks amazing there. 9 points, 8 points, 11 points, 12 points, and then 8 points. It's just all around.
He had double digits 3 times in a 7-game series. Something's going on with him. Something's going on. It must be because a player with talent like him, 7 points, 8 points, 12, 11, and drop 38 just one time?
This was a really bad series, and it got to the point late in this game where the Rockets are trying to get back into it. Right, it's like a 9-8 point game, and Jalen Green is on the court. And I'm just refreshing Twitter, trying to be interactive with people. And people ask like, why is Jalen Green even on the court? And if you're Ime Udoka in this game, Jabari Smith Jr. didn't play very well.
Why was he even on the court for real?
Scared in the moment a couple different times. He had nasty turnovers, and he got credited for 2, but it was 1 that he almost turned over. But luckily, Fred VanVleet was there to save us, to keep it steady. And like, again, though he had a terrible series, in the back of your mind, you think to yourself, well, we're down by 8, we need some creation, because in this series when we have not scored a lot, this is going to sound stupid because obviously it's the case, when we have not scored a lot, we have still a chance.
No, I'm not saying Jalen Green's not going to be a good player, but, he got exposed, basically.
Jalen Green, man, he hit 2 shots that he could be on the burner. Just like that, it's an 8-point game, and now it's a 2-point game because Jalen Green hit 2 threes. Just the idea of what he could blow out to be was just enough to keep him on the floor, especially if there was nobody on the bench that was playing above him, right? So, yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what this offseason looks like from the team. This is a hella successful season. I think going into it, looking back on my video, I thought that they were going to be like the 11th seed this season. They were the 2. Right, so again, you don't love the fact that you're a first-round exit, but if you look at it from a bird's eye view, you're thinking about the future of this team. There's nothing but bright things going forward, right? Okay, so shout out to the Houston Rockets for even making it interesting, because I will remind you, this Golden State Warriors team was 23-7 with Jimmy Butler. You took them to 7. That is a real accomplishment. I'm not here for like moral victories. I mean, maybe I am. I'm here for moral victories. That's the moral victory. And now we got to start thinking about the Golden State Warriors being matched up against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I promise you this, I mean, I don't know how I feel about the series other than saying that I feel pretty good about the Minnesota Timberwolves winning. Some of those stretches that we saw in the series where the Warriors went 4 to 5 minutes multiple times a game without scoring, that's just not going to be something that you can do often. You're going to be able to get away with it a few different times in the playoff series, but you're not going to be able to do that often against the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are just better on the offensive side of the floor. They have a guy, Anthony Edwards, who we just saw in last series, can pick some things apart. Now, the Warriors are obviously a better defense than what the Lakers just showed us, but they're also a small team. We just saw Rudy Gobert, Godzilla, give them 26 and 24. Julius Randle used his size, had a great series. So this should be a dogfight for sure. I'm leaning towards Timberwolves, but I guess I'll talk about that in the future. Is there anything else in my notes about this game? Warriors through their own zone. I said I was going to get into that. The Warriors getting into their own zone was actually pretty dope because it forced a lot of the Rockets to take long shots, and because they were taking long shots, like this is the bad thing about the zone. It's tough to rebound in the zone. That was something you get taught as a very young kid. You got to get a body on people because you're not necessarily guarding somebody one-on-one, right? So it's tough to get rebounds. But because you were forced the Houston Rockets to take long shots, you didn't have to worry about that because long shots is long misses, and a few different times it ended up being a breakaway from Jimmy Butler or Pods hitting something like that. So it ended up working out pretty well. I thought Steve Kerr again coasted the game, even if I don't agree with Jonathan Kuminga going out there and playing some early minutes. It just felt like he had Buddy Hield game in the back of his pocket. Buddy Hield, 9 of 11 for 3, and some of them.
Buddy Hield had a
one
great
of them was
game.
what, right before half court.
Buddy Hield was like no sportsmanship for Hall of Fame CPU.
Forgot Buddy Hield on the floor.
Buddy Hield was
like we're so
like late in the shot clock. Buddy Hield should have made it too. No sportsmanship.
Again, though Steph Curry didn't shoot the ball well into basically the fourth quarter, I thought he was fucking amazing defensively, all things considered. He ain't Amen Thompson. He ain't Tony Allen. He ain't Ron Harper or Scottie Pippen, but for his size, he was not giving anything up. And this is something I've talked about a lot about Steph Curry. I think as a defender, he's always been underrated. A lot of times he does end up being, not necessarily in this era, but some of his previous eras when they were winning championships, he did end up being the worst defensive player on the court, but that didn't make him a bad defensive player. Being the worst defensive player on the court on the team that was number 1 and number 2 in defense could still mean you're a good defensive player. And I thought today, even when the shot was falling, I mean, he got to the glass. He ended up, he didn't draw a charge, but he didn't draw the charge. He laid away to a missed layup because it looked like he was setting up the move last second. So I just thought, again, had a phenomenal game. And I love the fact that Steve Kerr was like, man, this is game 7, Steph. You got to play almost every single second. And I think he did end up basically playing every minute until the game was out of reach, and then they let the other guys come in. So, good game for the Golden State Warriors, and they continue to see if they can go on the ultimate run. Shout out to the Houston Rockets. Let's talk about Cavs versus Pacers game number one. The Pacers go into Cleveland, win 121 to 112. A game we found out like
Are Cleveland frauds, y'all? It's just game one, dude, but gotta win game two. Gotta smack them too, or if Indiana wins, you know that's looking a little bit rough. If you're Cleveland, yeah, you don't want that to happen. You can't have that happening. Matter of fact.
like maybe an hour or two before that Darius Garland was not going to be suited up. They were really optimistic though that he'll get ready for game number 2. So that's cool. I really want Darius Garland to play in the series because I want the series to be really, really good. And I think Darius Garland obviously helps that a ton. One of the questions I had asked the guys like, where do the Cavaliers start off defensively with Tyrese Halliburton? Will it be Max Strus? Will it be this and that? It ended up being Max Strus very early on. Sometimes it ended up being Sam Merrill. They just shifted around quite a bit. I thought that Tyrese Halliburton did an amazing job. Full stop. On both sides before there was a stretch with like 2.5 minutes left. Tyrese Halliburton himself got 3 back-to-back defensive stops. And you think about what the Cleveland Cavaliers are, you think about what the Cleveland Cavaliers did in last series, when you think about them just completely picking on Tyler Hero defensively, that's who Tyrese Halliburton is going to be on the defensive side this series. He is the weakest link defensively on this team. So it's like, we're going to put you in every single action. They were doing that early on, and it was all for naught because the Cavs shot terribly from 3. I think it's their second worst shooting game of the entire season. But for them to try to go at him with 2.5 minutes to go, and him to come out there and get 3 stops and to come down there and hit a dagger, like, that's my boy. I felt that. And they felt comfortable in letting it be a pick and roll switch. And Tyrese like, okay, you're going to switch the big fella on me. And the big fella, Jared Allen, was really good to space, all things considered. Not go cut it to them. Step back 3. I thought he was amazing. And of course, he's always going to raise the level of play on the offensive side of the ball because he is one of the premier playmakers in basketball. And when the ball is in his hands, the team will not turn the ball over often. The stat goes, they are 23-7 this season. When he scores over 20 today, he hit 22 today. Now, let's take a step back. Andrew Nembhard, phenomenal game as well. You know,
Nembhard was playing good today. He was hooping. He was hooping. All them little, like, he was shaking them a little bit, stepping back 3s, like, he was hooping.
He's getting into that territory. You talk about playoff rises, you think about like Jokic, you think about Luka again for this season, you think about some all-time legends. And then right under that, you gotta think about Andrew Nembhard because he continues to, man, the sidestep 28-foot 3 with 2 seconds on the shot clock. It would have hurt my soul if I was a Cavs fan.
Killing him.
He hit that shot and he played good defense. Again, all things considered, there's only so much you can do against Donovan Mitchell and stuff. Aaron Nesmith also really good in this game. So they had a lot of good things going for them. But let me take a step back. They shot 53% from 3. 53%.
On fire.
And
like, Indiana no joke.
You know?
And I get it's just game 1, but
that's crazy.
They was hot.
53%. I'm just like, obviously there's other ways to win games. There's other ways to win. They're not going to shoot 53% 4 different times to win this series. There's other ways the Pacers can beat you. Do not get me wrong. But this one, it felt like, what did the meme, the magnet ball meme? That's what it felt like it is. They were not missing on the offensive side. There was 1 3 that, I think it was it Obi? Obi hit a sidestep corner 3, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. What are you supposed to do about that? On the other side of things, I thought the Cavs went on some of their best runs or like looked best offensively when Obi was on the court. So I wonder what that's going to look like if Darius Garland comes back. The Cavs also had as many points in the paint as a team can have in a single game. They had 70. It was I made the tweet. It was like I haven't played a ton of Marvel Rivals in the last month or so, but I was just be thinking about different alts and Spider-Man. You get a web, you get a paint touch, you get a paint touch, you get a paint touch, damn it. Because everybody's just getting into the basket. And part of that was like foul trouble for some dudes, but also the Pacers weren't playing great point of attack defense, and it just ended up being, Donovan Mitchell get it downhill, or Evan Mobley had a really good offensive game today. He's kind of washed out. Or like Ty Jerome get into his floater range, and he didn't hit a ton of those today, but like you expect him to hit more. So, there's like optimism on both sides, right? Darius Garland's coming back, and you don't expect the opposing team to shoot 53% from three. The optimism on the Pacers side, hey, we went into a game one, and they always say a series don't start till the home team loses. We just took a game one. We still do have one of the best players in the series in Tyrese Halliburton if he continues to shoot. And, well, we just have depth. Both teams have depth. This is going to be a dogfight. My original thing was Cavs. I think I said Cavs in 5. That was before I knew that Darius Garland was like that toe injury was that bad. Sometimes like when you go against an inferior opponent, which is what the Miami were to the Cavs, you can feel okay with just sitting the guy here or there. I thought that's what it was. And the same thing with like Drew Holiday in this other series. So I don't know exactly what to think about that. We did have some zone get thrown out there a little bit, which is again every single team, every single series has seen zone so far this playoffs. I think it's phenomenal that zone is being used so damn heavily. It's so cool to see Kenny Atkinson go the opposite of like every single team in basketball. I feel like every team has the one player that is strictly there for the defensive side of the ball. One of these wings that like is an elite level defensive player. It's Chris Dunn, it's Derrick Jones Jr., it's Amen Thompson. It's like those type of dudes that just are not a threat to shoot the ball whatsoever. Every single team has one of those dudes, and it feels like those teams end up starting one of those dudes. Except for the Cavs, who has a guy like that on the bench, and his name is Isaac Okoro. But instead of starting Isaac Okoro to hound Tyrese Halliburton, they'd rather just have all the shooting in the world. Sam Merrill, you got to defend tonight, brother. We know you can shoot, so go ahead and defend your ass off too. And I think that's always interesting to see different philosophies come out. But that's pretty much it. I'm excited to see the rest of the series hold. I've said it once, and I'll say it again because next year the Bulls will be in the finals. The NBA runs through the Central Division, baby. Always has, always will be.
Next year the Bulls will be in the finals. Who the Bulls getting? Michael Jordan coming back? That was the reaction too, guys. That was the reaction. We're gonna do this reaction too, guys. So just y'all gonna see it. But that was the reaction for Kenny. For real. Peace.